I collect doorbell footage, not for entertainment, for pattern. It started as research for a short film, people behaving oddly in front of smart cameras. Now, 5 years later, I'm convinced some of these clips are warnings. The first one came from a woman named Kelly in Arizona. She sent it to me in 2019 with a short message. "You'll see why I don't answer knocks anymore." The video was short, just under 2 minutes. Her porch light made everything look colder than it was. A man in a gray hoodie walks up the steps. He looks over his shoulder, then toward the left side of the screen. At first, it's unremarkable, until you notice his hand. He lifts it toward the door, pauses, and then fakes a knock. No sound, just a small, practiced motion. He even mouths the words, "Hey, sorry, is Matt here?" as if he's rehearsing for someone watching. There's a faint reflection in the door's glass, headlights from a parked car. Whoever's inside that car seems to be watching him closely. He glances toward the vehicle, nods once, then speaks again. "Oh, sorry, wrong house. Sorry about that," but no one has answered. Kelly never came to the door. She said she'd only realized the footage existed the next morning when the motion alert popped up on her phone. She hadn't heard a thing. At 1 minute, 14 seconds, the man freezes. He looks straight into the camera, eyes wide, like someone realizing they're on the wrong stage. He mouths 2 words, barely audible through the mic. "Help me." Then he walks away, calm, back to the car. The headlights dim, and both vanish into the night. Kelly sent the clip to police, but they said it didn't show a crime. No break-in, no violence, just uncertainty. She told me she sometimes still replays it, listening carefully to the background. And she swears, right before the video ends, you can hear another voice whisper from inside the car. A low man's voice saying, "Next one." It's easy to dismiss videos like that as pranks or misunderstandings, but when you've seen hundreds of them, different states, different years, you start to feel that hum beneath the noise. The same patterns are repeating. Someone pretending to knock, someone pretending to talk to an empty door, always glancing at the street, always one car idling nearby. I've cataloged 23 of those so far, and some of them end very differently. What would you do if your phone buzzed right now, and your own Ring app showed someone standing at your door, not knocking, just mimicking the motion? Would you open it, or would you stay silent, watching? The woman who waited for the car to pass. This clip came from a man named Harold Benson, a retired truck driver living in Bend, Oregon. He was proud of his new smart doorbell, called it his digital guard dog. He'd installed it after a few packages went missing. The footage is dated November 12th, 2021, 3:17 a.m., cold night. Frost was crusting the edges of his welcome mat. At first, the recording shows nothing but mist, streetlights glowing through it. Then, from the left side of the frame, a woman walks slowly into view. No jacket, barefoot. Her dress hangs damp, like she'd been standing in the rain. She stops halfway up the porch steps and tilts her head, listening. Her lips move, but no sound. The motion sensor's click must have startled her, because she looks up, right into the lens. Her expression changes. She smiles. Not a friendly one, just a slow, deliberate stretch of lips. Then, something strange happens. The headlights of a passing car wash across the street. In that instant, her whole posture shifts. She drops the smile, straightens up, and glances casually around, like someone pretending to be out for a walk. The moment the light fades, she returns to the door. She leans forward until her nose nearly touches the camera glass, and she whispers, "I waited until he was gone." The audio barely picks it up, a breath wrapped around words. Then she steps backward, turns to her left, and vanishes from the frame as if someone called her name. When Harold reviewed the footage the next morning, he assumed it was some drunk neighbor. He asked around. No one recognized her. That night, he left his porch light on. At 3:17 again, motion was detected, but the camera malfunctioned. When he checked the saved file, it was just a still frame, an image of his door, perfectly clear, except for one smudge across the bottom half of the lens. He wiped it clean in the morning. A week later, he decided to check the still frame again. Zoomed in. The smudge wasn't a smear. It was a handprint. But here's the part that made him move out 6 months later. Embedded faintly in the reflection of the door's glass, behind the handprint was another face. A man's. Eyes closed. When Harold sent me the footage, he said something I never forgot. She wasn't lost. She was waiting for the car to leave, whoever was in it. She didn't want him to see her. He meant it as comfort, but somehow that made it worse. There's a pattern forming already. In the last story, there was a car waiting at the curb. This time, a woman hiding from one. Every clip I've studied has something watching just outside the light. Unrecorded, unacknowledged, but always there. Was sent to me by a man named Luis Navarro from Plano, Texas. It was labeled "Saved My Life." It's not the kind of video most people would find scary at first glance. No masked figure, no late-night intruder, just light. The recording begins in silence, the faint static hiss that doorbell microphones always seem to capture. The timestamp reads 1:46 a.m. Luis's house is still. Then, motion detection. A small flicker of orange appears near the far left corner of the frame, across the street. A reflection, maybe. But it grows. The glow shifts, deepens, then swells into something alive. A fire, small at first, burning at the base of a wooden fence on the neighboring property. You can even hear the faint crackle if you turn your volume up. 30 seconds pass. Then the fire climbs higher, licking the fence posts, leaping from board to board. The sound grows louder. A dog barks off screen, then stops. And then something strange happens. The doorbell chime rings. Luis is visible through the frosted glass of his front door. He stirs, half awake, confused. The Ring app on his phone vibrates again. Another motion alert. He opens the app, still groggy, and that's when he sees it. His neighbor's yard engulfed in flames, the wind pushing the blaze toward his own porch. In the video, you can watch him burst through the door, barefoot, rushing out with a small extinguisher. He sprays helplessly into the orange storm. The fire roars back, eating everything it touches. He throws down the can, looks at the camera and says, "It's too late." He disappears behind the house. Moments later, the camera shows him stumbling out the back door, coughing, his shirt glowing with embers. He runs off screen, and the feed cuts out. The next clip begins a few hours later, when the fire trucks arrived. Most of the neighborhood had gathered on the sidewalk, their faces lit in the strobing red. Luis told me later the fire marshal never figured out what started it. No faulty wires, no gas leak, just ignition. But what unsettled him most was the sound. When he reviewed the doorbell footage with investigators, they noticed something at the 1:47 mark, right before the chime. A faint voice. It sounded like someone whispering from the direction of the burning fence. The words were hard to make out, but one officer swore it said, "Wake up." They tested the microphone, but it couldn't have picked up speech from that distance. Not through the smoke, not over the crackle. Luis stopped using his Ring camera after that. He said every time he walked by it, he thought he heard someone breathing through the speaker. Like the doorbell remembered how to warn him. Fire, voice, and vigilance. A doorbell that seemed to know. It's one of the only clips in my archive where the camera might have done something good. But even in that act of warning, there's a strange intimacy. Like something unseen pressed the button, knowing exactly which sound would wake him. This footage came from Lakewood, Colorado. The owner's name was Amy Vickers, a nurse who worked nights. The video was dated February 14th, 2022. She said she had just finished a double shift and had fallen asleep on the couch when her phone buzzed. Motion detected. Front door. The first thing visible is the porch light trembling in the cold. The second is a woman. She's barefoot, her jeans torn at the knee, and she's pounding on the door with both hands. You can hear her gasping between knocks. "Please, help me. Please, he's coming. She looks over her shoulder, then back at the door, eyes wide, unfocused, desperate. Amy's voice comes through the doorbell speaker, calm but firm. "Ma'am, what's wrong?" "I'm calling the police." The woman jerks her head toward the camera as if she's listening for something. She shakes her head. No, please don't. He'll hear you." Behind her, the streetlight hums. It's one of those quiet suburban cul-de-sacs where the only sound after midnight is the wind. But then, from somewhere off-screen, a low, heavy voice. "Get in the car." The woman's entire body stiffens. She presses herself against the door, whispering something. You can't quite hear it over the hum. The voice again, sharper this time. "Now." And then, a man steps into the frame. You can only see his torso, a dark jacket, gloved hands. He grabs the woman's arm and pulls. She screams, high and real, clawing at the door. Amy yells through the speaker, "Hey, the police are on their way." The man freezes for a second, looks straight at the camera, then drags the woman out of view. Her scream fades down the driveway, then silence. A car door slams, engine revs. Headlights sweep across the porch and the clip ends. Amy told me she ran outside before the police arrived. There was nothing but tire marks in the snow and a dropped shoe. Small, white, like it belonged to someone half her size. By sunrise, the shoe was gone too. For 2 days, local news ran the story. Unidentified woman possibly abducted, footage under review. Then, nothing, no follow-up, no name. When Amy uploaded the clip to her cloud archive a week later, she noticed something new. The file name had changed. It used to read 2022-02-14-motion alert.mp4. Now it read please no.mp4. Ring's customer support told her there was no way to rename a file automatically, and no one else had access to her account. Amy doesn't use the doorbell anymore. She replaced it with a simple peephole camera. But every Valentine's night since, she says the motion alert still goes off at 2:41 a.m., the exact minute the woman knocked. When she checks the footage, there's no one there, just the faint reflection of headlights pulling away. Each story I've received leaves something behind. Not proof, just residue. A sense that whoever or whatever appears in these clips, it isn't done knocking. This next submission came from Deidre Miles in Kansas City, Missouri. She lived alone, just her and her cat, Oliver, in a single-story house that backed up to a long tree line. Her email to me started with, "I thought it was a prank. Then the police found nothing." The clip begins with Deidre folding laundry in her mudroom, her Ring camera positioned above the back door, angled toward the porch. You can hear the hum of her dryer, rhythmic, almost comforting. Then, faintly under the hum, something breaks the rhythm. A sound like a voice, distant, muffled, but human. "Help, please, help me." Deidre pauses mid-step. The motion alert triggers. She frowns, sets down a towel, and walks toward the door. "Hello?" No answer. The audio crackles. The voice comes again, louder this time, closer. "Help me, please, I'm hurt." Deidre freezes. She peers out the window beside the door, nothing but the faint light of her porch lamp spilling onto the grass. No movement, no shadows. She picks up her phone and opens the live feed. The camera shows exactly what she sees. Stillness. No one at the door. The voice comes again, distorted now, as though filtered through water. "Please let me in." Her breathing quickens. She presses the speaker button and says, "Who's out there?" "I'm calling the police." Silence. Then a small scraping noise against the deck boards, like fingers dragging lightly across wood. I can't find you. The sound fades into the night, swallowed by the hum of the dryer. The police arrived 11 minutes later. They searched the yard, the tree line, even the neighbors' fences. Nothing. No footprints. No sign anyone had been there at all. When Deidre checked the ring recording the next morning, the voice was still there, clearer, somehow, than she remembered. But the timestamp showed something impossible. The clip had started recording 40 seconds before the motion alert was triggered, meaning the camera had been activated before anyone or anything approached. She sent me the file 2 months later with another message. I keep hearing it when I do laundry now. Even when the camera's off, same tone, same words. Please help me. Only now, it says my name after. I listened to her clip dozens of times. The voice was genderless, low, drawn out, and layered with what sounded like static or whispering beneath it. But right before the end of the clip, there's one more sound I can't explain. A faint double knock, soft, rhythmic, like the motion sensor itself was being tapped from the inside. It's become one of the most studied files in my archive, because according to Ring Support, the model she owned didn't include a speaker mic strong enough to capture anything beyond 8 feet. The voice should have been impossible to hear that clearly, unless it wasn't coming from outside. This footage came from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. The sender was Lydia Crane, a retired librarian. She'd installed her Ring doorbell for peace of mind after a series of small porch thefts in the neighborhood. Her email said simply, "It wasn't a person, but it was there." The timestamp reads December 3rd, 2022, 2:26 a.m. Snow had just started falling, thin flakes drifting sideways in the wind. At first, the recording is normal. An empty porch, faint light pooling over the front steps, the low creak of branches rubbing against one another somewhere out of frame. Then, about 5 seconds in it, the image distorts. It's subtle, like heat haze bending light above asphalt. But the shimmer takes form, something shaped like a person half visible walking from the sidewalk toward her steps. No color, no features, just a faint silhouette moving through the falling snow. You can hear soft crunches, footsteps, but each sound is delayed, as if the steps don't quite match the figure's motion. It moves slowly up the porch stairs, pauses, then stands in front of the door for nearly 20 seconds, perfectly still. And though it has no face, the head turns, directly toward the camera. That's when the Ring audio picks up the faintest whisper, layered under static. Not speech exactly, more like someone inhaling through their teeth a long, deliberate breath. The outline trembles once it then begins to fade, not backward into the night, but inward, collapsing like mist folding into itself. The final few frames show nothing but untouched snow where it had been standing. Lydia told me she thought it was an optical glitch. She even posted the clip on a local community forum. Most comments were dismissive. Fog, spiderweb, video compression. But one message stood out. It came from an account with no name, just the letter M. The comment read, "You saw it too." When Lydia tried to click the profile, the page was gone. 2 nights later, her doorbell chimed again. This time she was awake. She checked the live feed. No one at the door, just the faint shimmer again, standing halfway up her walkway. She said it didn't move this time. It just stayed there, barely visible, as if waiting for her to acknowledge it. After that, she covered the camera with black tape. She told me she couldn't bear to see her own reflection on the screen anymore, because it sometimes didn't move when she did. I've watched Lydia's footage dozens of times. Each viewing seems slightly different. Once I could have sworn I saw a faint outline behind the glass of her door, a hand pressed against it, but the fingers were pointing outward as though the hand was inside the camera looking back. That night, While reviewing the file, my own Ring app sent me a motion alert. 2:26 a.m. When I checked, the feed showed nothing but snow dash dash and a faint human-shaped gap where flakes refused to fall. This story came from Tucson, Arizona. A young man named Omar sent me the footage with a one-line note. She never knocked. She just stood there. The clip starts at 12:04 a.m., the kind of hour when desert nights are cold enough to make the air brittle. Omar's porch is dimly lit. Dust on the camera lens glimmers like faint snow. Then she steps into view. An old woman, late 70s maybe. Long gray hair, unevenly cut. She's wearing a faded floral nightgown that barely moves in the wind. And in her right hand, a knife. Not held out like a weapon, but hanging loosely, the blade catching the porch light as she shifts her weight from one foot to the other. For 20 seconds, she just stands there, not blinking, not looking at the door, just breathing. A soft rhythm of inhale and exhale picked up by the microphone, slow and wet, as if she'd been crying. Then she tilts her head, almost curious, and looks toward the doorbell camera. Her eyes don't focus. They flick left and right, as if following something crawling just out of frame. After a moment, she raises the knife slightly, examines it, then lowers it again. The movement is careful, deliberate, like she's forgotten why she's holding it. Finally, she leans forward, her face inches from the lens. Her mouth moves, but what comes out isn't words. It's a single humming tone, low and steady, the sound of someone trying to remember a tune. She stays that way for nearly a minute, the hum deepening into what might have been a laugh, until the motion sensor chime sounds again. That breaks her trance. She straightens abruptly, looks over her shoulder and whispers, "Not yet." Then she turns and walks off screen, her figure dissolving into the blue wash of a nearby streetlight. The clip ends there. Omar called the police, of course. They found no one matching her description, no signs of forced entry, no neighbors missing or reporting strange visitors. But a week later, he found something at the edge of his driveway. A kitchen knife, rusted dull, wrapped in a plastic grocery bag. Inside the bag was a slip of paper. 2 words written in shaky handwriting. "I tried." He sent me a photo of it, and I still can't tell whether it's a plea for help or an apology. Sometimes, when I replay her video, I notice something that shouldn't be there. At the 0:53 mark, when she hums near the camera, there's a reflection in her pupils. It's faint, but distinct. A car's interior, dashboard lights glowing green. And if you slow it down, you can see someone sitting behind the wheel, still watching. The old woman never returned to that house, but 2 streets over, another homeowner posted footage of a pale figure standing on their porch the same night. Same gown, same posture, only this time her hands were empty. And when the homeowner zoomed in on her face, they said she was smiling, mouthing the words, "You heard it too." In every city I study, there are echoes. Something travels between these cameras, faces, sounds, postures, as if the act of watching draws them near,